Covenant Headroom Explained. Clear answers on leverage tests. Welcome! In this quick lesson, we'll demystify covenant headroom so you can explain it clearly to lenders, boards, and investors. Headroom is the extra capacity allowed by a loan covenant, the space you still have before hitting a limit. Think of it as a buffer before you breach a required financial ratio. It shows how much room you have to absorb shocks. You'll most often see it in leverage tests, like net debt/EBITDA, where a lower number is safer. Knowing your headroom helps you communicate risk, plan financing, and avoid surprises when performance or markets move. First, leverage. This is your debt relative to earnings power, commonly measured as net debt, EBITDA. Higher leverage means less flexibility and more lender attention. Next, a covenant is a contractual limit you must respect, such as leverage must be is less than or equal to 4.0x. Breaching it can trigger penalties or even default. Finally, headroom is the distance between your current metric and the limit. If the covenant cap is 4.0x and you're at 3.2x, your headroom is 0.8x. More headroom equals more resilience. Less headroom equals higher urgency to act. Be crisp and complete. First, name the test and the threshold. For example, leverage covenant, net debt/EBITDA, is less than or equal to 4.0x. Second, give your latest actual metric with timing. Q2 leverage, 3.2x. Third, express headroom in two ways, ratio points and percent. For example, headroom, 0.8x, which is 20% below the cap. Adding both numbers makes risk easy to compare over time and across companies. If the covenant steps down later, mention the future threshold too, so stakeholders understand the runway. Use short, confident sentences. Example 1. Our leverage is 3.2x versus covenant at 4.0x. Example 2. Headroom, 4.0x minus 3.2x equals 0.8x turns, 20% buffer. The math shows transparency and control. Example 3. We remain in full compliance. That signals there's no breach risk today. If you expect movement, add timing. We anticipate leverage trending to 3.0x by Q4, assuming stable demand and continued debt paydown. These patterns are clear, defensible, and board-ready. Let's put it together. Example covenant, net debt/EBITDA is less than or equal to 4.0x. Your latest actual leverage is 3.2x today. Compute headroom, 4.0x minus 3.2x equals 0.8x. Convert to percent. 0.8 by 4.0x equals 20%. State it cleanly. Leverage is 3.2x versus covenant at 4.0x. Headroom, 0.8x, 20% below the cap. We remain in full compliance. If leverage was 4.1x, you'd be above the cap. Call that a breach risk and outline immediate actions. Always show the math so others can follow. Numbers need story. Explain why leverage moved. Was it EBITDA down on softer demand, or debt up from acquisitions or working capital? Example, leverage rose to 3.2x as EBITDA dipped 5% while debt was flat. Then cover near-term risks and mitigants. Q3 seasonality and higher rates are headwinds. We're cutting discretionary spend and accelerating receivables. Finish with a simple trajectory, up, flat, or down. Example, We expect leverage flat to slightly down next quarter as cost actions flow through. Clear drivers build credibility. If headroom shrinks, give a plan and timing. Example, targeting 3.0x by Q4 via $20 million paydown and margin recovery. Avoid vague words like improving soon. Instead, quantify ranges. EBITDA expected plus $8 to 10 meters. Net debt minus $15 to 20 meters. Separate base case versus downside. Base, demand stabilizes, leverage to 3.0 to 3.1x. Downside, demand minus 5%, leverage 3.3 to 3.4x. Contingency includes OpEx cuts and deferring CapEx. Precision shows control and reassures lenders you're actively managing risk. Always be explicit. Define the test, disclose the actual, and quantify the buffer. Use plain ratios and percent so anyone can grasp risk quickly. Tie the numbers to drivers, EBITDA and debt, then link to actions. Cost controls, pay down, timing. Keep wording tight. Leverage X versus covenant Y. Headroom Z turns 8%. We remain in compliance. Finally, outline the outlook, up, flat, or down with ranges. This structure makes your covenant reporting clear, credible, and decision-ready.